What's going on, Unfazed crew? I hope you're all doing well. So recently, as of, pretty much this whole last year, there's been a whole lot of talk about people not wanting to work and businesses having a hard time finding new employees. And it seems like everywhere you look, all across the country here, there's help wanted signs, especially at restaurants. Anywhere in the service industry, you see a ton of help wanted signs. But they say nobody wants to work. And I started thinking, I'm like, man, as of April of 2021, there was something like 40% of the new hires of 2021 quit their jobs or something like that. Maybe I'm butchering the statistic a little bit, but it was significant nonetheless. And I know quite a few people who had been unemployed for a while through 2020 that had gotten new jobs this year and quit very quickly. Like we're talking like 1 to 2 months. And I started to think, why is this? And I have a couple of ideas. So first of all, let me address the whole help wanted thing with restaurants. First of all, I think a big part of the equation that they're leaving out is that a lot of people don't want to do these type of jobs. A, because they're worried about long-term security, which they feel like they don't have at those type of jobs. And B, there's no good benefits. And also the pay, when you're totally reliant on tips, that can be a little stressful, and I'm not knocking it. I know people that work in the service industry. I've worked in the restaurant industry in the past, and it was a good experience at the time, but I think that's a big component now, as people are maybe looking for something that's a little bit more secure and that's not going to disappear if another wave of COVID happens or something like that. So I think that's a part of it. Yeah, they want benefits, they want something a little bit better, and they want higher pay, they want better quality jobs. They don't want something that is usually for younger people. They want something that's like more of a career. And then another part of the equation that I feel personally, and I can totally relate to, is I think people realized at the end of the day, if they dedicate years and years and years to a job, and they go above and beyond, and they work overtime, and they put their blood, sweat, and tears into a career, what 2020 taught us is that you're disposable to these companies. And you can get laid off at the drop of a hat. Something like COVID happens, or change happens with the company. They say, hey, see ya. You're kind of screwed. So I think a lot of people are starting to realize that as much as they love a company and are loyal to it, it's kind of pointless if they're just going to drop you like that. Like, you're just a number to them. And I think that was a big wake-up call for a lot of people. I experienced that in 2020. I know a bunch of friends of mine experienced the same thing, and I know tons of people across the world experience this. So I know we're not alone. And we realize that these nameless, faceless corporations don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your family. You're just a number to them. And when the shit hits the fan, you're the first to go. And I think a lot of people were very saddened by that, by the way a lot of these companies were so quick to let people go who had been very loyal. I know a friend who, she went above and beyond, man. She was really trying to be a manager and tried to do all these paths to get into a leadership role, and was like super dedicated. And she had been with the company for like 5+ years that I was previously at, and she got laid off. Boom, same as me. And it's like all that work, all that effort, all that time was really for nothing. I'm sure it helped a lot of people grow professionally and like learn things, but at the end of the day, they don't work at that company anymore, and that's all kind of silly in retrospect. So I think that's a big part of it. People are disillusioned, and that loyalty to companies, I don't think, is ever going to come back, at least not in our lifetime. Maybe for some people, there's people that are dedicated to like smaller businesses, or if it's something that you're directly connected to, like your own business, yeah, of course you're going to be loyal. But when it's a big nameless, faceless corporation, I think that loyalty is really going to go down. And I think that's why you're seeing so many people saying, hey, fuck this isn't for me. Another idea I was thinking about is people realize life's short, man. Like after all the 2020 business and into 2021, people want to be doing something that they're passionate about. And you always hear, I know it's super cliche, like this is not the first time anyone's thought this or said this. You look on any podcast, they're always saying, the typical, the hamster wheel, the 9 to 5, yeah, stuck in a man-made, self-made prison. I just think a lot of people are finally realizing, hey, my time is precious, and if I have to work, ideally I'd like to be doing something that I actually give a shit about and that I'm passionate about. And I think before that was, always kind of understood, but a lot of people weren't really adhering to that idea. You know what I mean? So now I think more people are like, hey, this doesn't make me happy, fuck it. And they do realize that they could be fired at the drop of a hat. So I think earlier this year, a lot of people were just like, hey, let me try to pursue something that's a little more aligned with what I'm actually interested in. So anyway, I'm kind of ranting here, but it's interesting to think about, and I do think there's something to it, because otherwise we wouldn't see all these help wanted signs and these jobs not being filled, because I think a lot of people are just disillusioned with the modern system. So what's the answer? I guess the answer, I think we all know it. It's the cliche, do what you want to do, but that's easier said than done. I mean, if you want to go be a big-time movie director, I mean, you gotta work at it, and it doesn't happen for everybody. You want to go and, be a CEO, I mean, that takes a while. So I guess talking about jobs in the interim, talking about needing to have a job to pay bills, I guess try to find the lesser of all the evils. If you can find something that's tolerable, that's a pleasant environment, ideally with good people, and does have benefits and is something that you actually enjoy doing, that's the key. And then in your free time, do things like making videos or drawing or making music or whatever it is for you, like whatever your passion is. Make sure you make time for it. And I don't mean just be a weekend warrior. I mean, do your best to find time for it all throughout the week. And I know, I have some friends that I work with that say, oh, they're just so tired at the end of the day. They're so tired. I get it. Shit's exhausting. But one thing that I find, even if I'm tired, if I go out and I make a video such as this, or go and do a No Expectations podcast or an Unfazed podcast, whatever, fill in the blank, I feel very, very fulfilled. And I still work a day job. I still have a day job currently. So one thing that I find with that is that creative outlet really is something wonderful. And it feels like my true purpose, and I always will make time for that because it fuels me, it energizes me, and it makes me feel good. And even if I'm freaking beat, at the end of the week, still I'm like, no, I'm gonna go make time for this, because ultimately the next day I wake up and I feel happy that I made content and made a video. So that's the answer. I mean, obviously pursue your big dreams always, like go after them, be ambitious, go for it 100%. Life's short, make it happen. But it doesn't happen overnight. I realize that, and I think most people realize that. So find something tolerable in the meantime, and then work towards your passions very intensely in your free time. That's the answer. I feel like a lot of people probably already know this, but sometimes you need a reminder. Sometimes you need to hear it. And I felt like ranting. I felt like talking out loud, thinking out loud. And yeah, go for it, guys, and remain unfazed.